Hello and welcome to another professional development webinar brought to you by the Kemnal Academies Trust. My name is Mia and today we're going to be looking at the teacher's side of Google Classroom. So we're going to be creating and exploring your first classroom, inviting teachers and students, go through the features of Google Classroom and have a look at some of the main features on there. And just have a little look at the examples that sort of the assignments that you can do. So I've been using Google Classroom as a Year 6 teacher for the past 3 weeks now, and I think I had a little play for a week before that. And I think it's really, really easy, and I've just loved it. And I think it's just been that part of teaching that I've really missed in the past couple of weeks. And I know lots of my colleagues have been coming up to me saying they really love it and how much they've sort of missed speaking to the children. So the most important thing for me about Google Classroom is having that ability to have a dialogue with the children, and just it makes it so much easier to talk through the assignments and give them the feedback that they really do deserve after their hard work. So students can also interact with one another, which is really nice, and it just means that maintains that sense of community that they have when they're in school. So as we go through this webinar, please feel free to write some questions or anything that pops into your mind in the comment section, and we can have a little chat afterwards as a little Q&A at the end, just to go through a few things. Please bear in mind that there are lots of other webinars for the rest of the week. So if something I haven't gone through and something that you've got in the back of your mind and you want to find out, then please watch the other webinars or just put them in the comment section. So I'm going to come off camera now and we can get started on setting up your Google Classroom, and I'll just give you a feel of what it's like. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is go to classroom.google.com, and you will be faced with a screen that looks very similar to this. Okay, so you're not going to have this here because this is the classroom that I've set up for us to just have a little look through, but I'll show you how you would set up your classroom. So you would go over to here and you'll see this little cross sign here and click Create Class. If you're in a primary school, you'd probably just label it as Year 5 or Year 6 or individual classes if you're going to work it like that. But if you're secondary, obviously you would have your subject area and you would label that class accordingly. So you give it a label. So say I said Year 5, and then I would click Create. But I'm not going to do that right now because I've already set one up for us. So I'm going to click into the classroom, and this is what it looks like when it loads up. So you'll see at the top, there are 4 sections to Google Classroom. There is the stream, there is classwork, there are people, and there are marks. And I'm going to take you through each one today and just give you a quick little tour of each section and the features that it has. So I'm going to take you to people to begin with, because this is probably the first place you are going to go to be able to add co-teachers if you're in more than one form entry school, and add pupils, obviously, which is the main part of Google Classroom. So the good thing about adding teachers is not only can you invite your colleagues, so your co-teachers in your year group, but you could also invite phase leaders or SLT, for example, and that way every classroom can be overseen by somebody. That's really good if you're answering parent queries on the phone or emails, because you're able to then access that classroom that they're talking about and sort of deal with that query directly rather than go through other teachers. So I'm just going to show you hypothetically how you'd add a teacher. So you go to this section here, this little icon, and click it, and then just say I'm adding Mr. Jensen, and then I would click and then click invite. And that will send an email to him asking him to co-teach the class, and he just has to press join, and then he becomes part of that classroom, and he will have the same rights as I do for setting assignments and for marking and things like that. So the next part I'm going to show you is how to add the students. So the students will have their own Google email and password, which can be set up for your IT manager. And you can go to this section here, so the invite students, and type in their email address. So I'm just going to make someone up at the moment and just go for Annabella, for example, and then click invite. It's worth noting that if you have a whole list of students, for example, on like a spreadsheet, you can copy all of them and paste them into here rather than doing it individually. So that might save you a lot of time. So as you can see, I do already have 3 students who have been invited and they have joined the classroom. These 2 I've invited just now, and they will get an email very similar to the teacher saying you've been asked to join a classroom. They literally click one button which says join. It's a big blue button, and it'll take them straight to the classroom. And to find their classroom, they just need to go to this waffle icon, or we call it a waffle, call it what you like, and then find the classroom icon, which will take you back to this page, and then they would just go into their classroom like that. Okay, so that is inviting students and inviting teachers. You can see here who is joined by the fact that they have turned a darker grey, and then the ones in the lighter grey are yet to join the classroom. So you can just keep a track of who it hasn't and then make those phone calls or emails where necessary. So the next section I'm going to show you is the stream. So this is the main sort of the first page that you come to. You can obviously change all of this by selecting a different theme, or you can upload your own banner if you're quite good on Photoshop or something, and you might want to create your own for your own classroom, but I've just obviously chosen TKAT for now. So you need to treat this, your stream, as like your Facebook wall, if you like. So this is where you manage your class assignments, you make announcements to the class. Upcoming assignments are then shown on this side here on the left. Obviously, I've set assignments, but I didn't set a due date, so that's why they've not come up here at the moment. But if you do set due dates, then they will appear here for you and for your students. So I'm just going to scroll through here so you can have a little look. So you can see I have posted some assignments. I've also posted a little message here. Just for the children. And then at the moment, our topic is Wonder, the English book, and they look at precepts. So I ask like a precept a day and I ask them to comment on it. So you could use a similar sort of thing with quotes or things like that. So as you can see, everything appears in the streams. Everything you post appears on here. And unless you change the settings, it can become quite cluttered quite quickly. And this could become overwhelming for the children and may hinder their ability to sort of navigate around the classroom easily. So if you want to turn off the option where you have all the assignments posted on the stream, you go to this top right-hand icon here, settings, and you go down. And you can see here where it says classwork on the stream. I've got it to show condensed notifications, but you can actually hide the notifications. And I'll just show you the difference, and you can make up your mind what you prefer. I personally prefer classwork and things like that to not be on the stream. I just want the stream for messages and for sort of thinking questions for the children and just little updates and reminders and things like that, rather than have all the classwork on here. But you can obviously work it out for yourselves. So I like to post an announcement every morning so the children, when they log in, they're greeted with a message, possibly an agenda for the day. You could also include reminders in this message too. I've just said welcome to the classroom and how they're going to use it and when I will be online every day. So that's another thing to consider, is when you're going to be online. So we do it as 9 to 12:30 with a half an hour break. That's us online to be able to answer any queries from the children. Because if you open it up to be online all the time, obviously that's a very long time and to keep checking things. So we just limit it to that. But yeah. Okay, so the children can then reply to these messages here. So you can see a couple of them in quite sensible with the replies. And then obviously one that's got a little bit carried away, and I'll show you how you can manage children that do this in a second. So all of these comments are actually public. So as public to the classroom, I mean, so all the children would be able to see these comments, and they could reply to one another by just saying like, oh, I agree with you, Mia, or I agree with you, Daryl, etc. But yeah, if you do get children like this, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this at all, it's just you need to set out some sort of guidance at the beginning about how children are going to comment appropriately on Google Classroom. So we just took the line of if it's not academically related, then it doesn't belong on the classroom, especially on the stream. So yeah, there are a couple options of what you can do. So you can remind the children to comment appropriately. You could just give them a little message here, and to be honest, it would remind everybody else to keep it to the learning. But here, those 3 buttons, you can actually either delete their comment or you can mute them. So to mute a child, that just means that they won't be able to post publicly on anything for as long as you want to mute them for, but they can message you privately. Obviously, I'm hoping that no one's going to have to be able to do this, and children are going to be quite sensible, and hopefully sort of just deter them from that happening. But using the delete button, I've used a couple of times, just if it's just something that I don't want on the stream, or it's just going to distract other children from the learning, I'll click delete, and then I might just message that child afterwards, just saying I've deleted this message because, and then explain, and hopefully next time they won't make that mistake again. So yeah, so it's really nice to be able to see the children reply to one another as well. So here, when she's put I agree with you, just think it's really nice to have that sort of communication with one another as well, and that sort of collaborative learning. Okay, the next section we're going to have a little look at is classwork. So this is probably one of the main parts of Google Classroom, especially for your children, because this is where they're going to find all their assignments and everything they need for the day. And obviously this is the main part of Google Classroom, is the learning. So this is the main tab, if you like. So this is where you can add new assignments with due dates and attach materials. So this can be an assignment, a quiz, a questionnaire, slides, Google Sheets, material, or even repost things that you've previously set. You could also repost from other year groups if you're part of their Google Classroom, which is really nice if you've got children that are working at below key stage. So you can share some of the work from a different key stage if you need to. So that's another nice feature of Google Classroom. So the first thing you need to think about when you're on classwork is thinking about how you're going to structure your classwork page so that it's easy to navigate for your pupils. Again, similar to what I said on the stream, just make sure it's nice and tidy so children can easily see where their work is, because you don't want them to be like, I can't find it, miss, I can't find it. And it's just easier if you go, right, it's in this topic area. So I like to label the topics as the dates for the day. So they can go to the 22nd and they can find all their work in there. They don't need to go hunting around looking for the right date. They just literally find it and it's all there for them. But obviously that's completely up to you. I also put down here just one for science, because you could just put all the science lessons for that week or that term if you plan that far ahead, and you can have them all there so they can find them. But for things like English, maths and guided reading, I just put in one folder. I'm going to come back to this part in a second, so don't worry if you're thinking, what is that? So I'm just going to quickly show you how to create a topic, actually. The other webinars later in the week will probably go into more detail on creating topics and creating assignments, but I'm just going to quickly show you. So go to the create section and go down to topic, and then label it whatever you want. So I'll just carry on with my labels and click add. Then what you need to do is make sure you drag it to the right section, because you don't want it right at the top. I like to keep it in order of the days, just to make it even more organized. Yeah. So at the top of my classwork page, I like to post materials which the children are going to be able to use throughout the term. So I've chosen to have our key text there as a PDF document. So just show you there, rather than sending different pages every day. We just found the PDF version and then linked it on there so that they can just keep going back to that PDF rather than you keep reposting it all the time. You could also put schemes of work up here or other important documents that you want the children to refer to throughout the term. And again, just make it very clear in your title of your topic what that is so they can find it, and it's easy to signpost the children to there. So we're going to have a quick look at some of the examples of assignments that I've made and my team have made. There's loads of different varieties of what you can make. I'm just giving you a quick overview of the things that you can do. So the first thing that we're going to look at is an example of SPAG and English. We put them on the same Google document. So we put all our LI and everything and a link to maybe some input that they might need. And when we want them to do a task, we'll highlight that task here and give them what we want them to do. And then create like it's not a text box on here, but it's you insert the table and you click that and it just makes a little text box for them to write in, just so they know exactly where they're writing and they're not writing all over the page when they get their document. It's easier to see down the bottom here. So when they click in here, it turns to blue font. So we changed it to blue text, just so when you're marking the piece of work, it's really easy to see where the child has put in their work into the document. So that's just one of our preferences, but might be something that interests you as well. The second assignment I'm going to show you is an example of a quiz. So we use our quizzes in maths, in science, in any subject really. But we do mainly use it in guided reading. So you can edit all the banners and you can edit all the colour scheme to make it look like nice and professional. Our children are like, oh, it looks really nice. So they're more inclined to do the work. But yeah, you can keep it as its normal format. So in here, we just give a quick summary of what the chapters we want them to read and sort of what 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 marks and what we expect from them. We try to link in sort of the film adaptation of Wonder to sort of hook them in a little bit more. And then here you can just see some questions that we've given them for those chapters. And then they would press submit, which would then go to you and you can mark it and then send it back to the child. It's so easy to use, very user-friendly, and the children, it's really easy for the children to access, especially if they're using phones or tablets, for example. Quizzes are really easy to get up and running in your first week of trying Google Classroom. So this document here is something quite different to the other two that I showed you. Those 2 documents that I showed you are done alone by the child. So that's when you assign something, you have 3 options. You can assign it for them to view the work. So that means they can't edit it or anything like that. You can assign it so they can edit the work, which is what this is. So all children can edit this one Google document. So this is really good for collaborative learning for them to be able to edit it all together and can work on this document all at the same time. But 9 out of 10 times when I do assignments, I will make sure that it's make a copy for each child, just because that way they have that sort of ownership over their learning. Haven't got any cases of somebody editing someone's work and deleting it, things like that. So, but this gives you an example and a feel for what you could do when you become more confident in Google Classroom and more comfortable with your children being able to do this. So I give them a question and then they can fill in their different answers and they can sort of read what other people have put, which is so nice because it just helps those children and maybe don't quite know what you've asked them, but they've read someone else's and they're like, oh yeah, now I know. And it just gets the ball rolling for them. So you can see who has edited the document. Excuse me. And you can see here which children have edited it. So it's really clear and you can make it different font colors just to make it even more clear for you as well. So that's an example if you want children to edit it together. Be really nice for sort of group work as well. You might set them a task of creating a slideshow together, and you could do it in groups of 5, things like that. So that's sort of looking towards the future of what you can achieve through Google Classroom. So let's go back to our classwork page. So I said I was going to come back to this one here. So actually, this has only been set to one child. So this is really good when you're setting differentiated work for target children for this. So this might be, for example, someone that is working at a lower key stage or has an EHCP plan, and you want to give them something a bit more individual to them and just sort of tailored to them. So you can just send it to them. Other children in the classroom will not see this and will not know that the other child has been set different work, which is really important because you don't want everyone to know that someone else has got something different. So that is one way of doing it and differentiating your pieces of work. Again, as I said earlier, if you're co-teacher on another classroom, you can obviously just resubmit somebody else's work, which obviously saves you a job then. So when you look at assignments, you will see 3 options. You'll see handed in, assigned, and marked. So when you first assign assignments, you will see all the children in your class, a number of them, will appear in this section here. And you won't have the mark section at that point. So you'll just see them in here. Once they start handing them in, they will move over to this section. Then once you've marked them, they end up in this section. So by the end, you do want it to look like this, where there's no handed in, no assigned, and 3 marked. That means you've done all your work and you don't need to worry about that assignment anymore. So it's really nice just to keep track of who is handing things in and what needs to be marked. So I'm just going to go over some public and private comments now within the classwork and on the stream. So let's have a little look. So here you can see there's 2 class comments. Class comments mean they're public comments, so everyone in the classroom can read them. Public comments are really good when children have like general queries about the work, which is great if children read those queries and read what you've said before they ask their question. 9 out of 10 times they don't. They will just ask the same question again. But I'm hoping as we go through this, they will become a little bit more trained and be able to say, oh yeah, that's what Evie's asked. I don't need to ask that again because I can just read what Miss has said. So those are the public comments. And then for the private comments, I'll just show you an example. Private comments will look like this. So they won't be on the class comment section. They will be next to the name of the pupil. So she's put, hello, miss, for some reason I can't see hand in my assignment. Can you help me? It's good that she's used it as a private comment because it's just about her piece of work. So I don't want her posting that publicly because I just want to help her. I don't want to make everybody else distracted. So that's a good idea of how to use private comments. Sorry. You will also use private comments when you give feedback for assignments. So here you can see I haven't returned these pieces of work, so I haven't marked them yet. But if I were to mark them, so I give her 60 and return them, it will prompt me to give her a private comment. So I might say, oh, well tried today, but next time can you consider blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's another way to use the private comments. The last section that I'm going to talk you through is the mark section. So these will be all the assignments that you've given them, and these will be their scores. If it comes up like this, it just means that you haven't marked them yet, but it means that they have done them and they have handed them in. So this is a good way of keeping track of who has done their work and who hasn't, and whether you need to prompt them or give them a call, just check whether they're okay with it. And yeah, once you complete lots of work, or the children complete lots of work, it will come up like a little percentage for each child, which is really nice to keep track of how well they are doing. and just a baseline for you as well. So those are the 4 sections of Google Classroom, and just gives you a general overview of what can be achieved with it. So I'm going to be answering some questions now, if there's any in the comment section. But if you feel like you have seen enough and you are free to leave at this point, but please make sure if this was helpful, give it a little like and subscribe to TKAT Professional Development YouTube channel. That would be brilliant. So I'm just going to pop over to the comment section now and have a little look on what you guys are saying. So I'm just looking at, I'm looking at Ella's comment here. So do you get alerted when a child has completed their work? You don't get alerted as such, but you can just keep checking the to-do list. So I will show you now. You get alerted when children give you comments, but you can filter those in your email, which I'm sure we can do a little tutorial on at some point, on how to filter your emails, because they do build up into the thousands quite quickly. So I'll just show you where you check what children have done the work. So if you go to the to-do section, here it will show you how many children have handed them in and then how many you've marked. So you can keep track of all the different pieces of work that you have given to the children and check that you are marking them as you go. So I just keep this open as another tab while I'm on Google Classroom and just keep checking it as I go. So I hope that answered your question, Ella. And Chris, so do you need to change the sharing permissions for each document you create for pupils? Yes, you do. So when you assign something, I'll just see if I can show you quickly. So say I am going to upload, I don't know, I'm just going to make this bit up. Let me click. So let me take this one again. Here you've got 3 options. So you can do students can view the file, students can edit the file, or make a copy for each student. So similar to what I spoke about earlier. So viewing the file means that the child can't edit it. Students can edit the file means that everybody in that classroom can edit the same document, and then making a copy for each student means that each child has a copy and it will just be there so no one else can edit it. And you can here, just want to show you quickly, you can just give it to certain children, so then it's only shared with those children. So like I was saying earlier, when you just give a piece of work to one individual, you could just select that individual there and assign it to that child. So yeah, so I hope that helps you get started on Google Classroom. Don't forget to like this video and make sure you subscribe to the channel to make sure that you follow all the other webinars. But thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon.